Excuse me, sir. Sir, question for you.
Yes.
How old were you when you made your first million?
I was 26.
And what line of business were you in?
A little different than most. You're not with the news, are you?
No,
Where
I
you
have one of the biggest business media channels in the world. We grew a channel to 12 million followers, just asking people how they made it for the younger generation.
So we're going to be helping the younger people.
Yes, sir.
I was part of an organized crime group in New York, and I made my first $1 million that way.
Organized crime?
Organized crime, Mafia.
You were in the Mafia?
Yeah.
How did you get to the Mafia?
My dad was the underboss of one of the major families, the Colombo family, and my dad proposed me for membership.
What's the most amount of money that you made in a single day?
Well, let's go for a week. I mean, $10 million in a week, $12 million. We used to bring into our operation $8 to $15 million a week.
How is that possible?
We were defrauding the government out of tax on every gallon of gasoline. I was selling 500 million gallons of gas a month, taking down 30, 40 cents a gallon.
Can we interview you for a minute real quick? Ask you a couple quick questions for the
As
channel.
long as it's helping the kids, yeah.
Is that cool?
Yeah.
What's a lesson about business you learned from doing business in the Mafia that school will never teach somebody?
Business is business. It's whether you're doing it on the street or you're doing it in a legitimate world, you got to follow a certain pattern. And I always went by the motto, do what you do best, delegate the rest. I got the right people around me. I motivated them to do the work that I knew I wouldn't do. And I was kind of the mastermind of the leader, and worked out. Same way now.
So you brought up delegating. When you found those people, how did you retain those A players, that top talent? Because it's one of the hardest things to do in business. And we know that talent is ultimately the end game in business. How do you keep great talent around you?
Treat them right. Give them your expectations right up front. Treat them right. Even though you're the boss and you're their leader. You know, I always said this. There's a difference between a leader and being a boss. You know, a leader is only a leader when somebody willingly wants to follow them. And so if you set that tone with your people and they believe in you and they're committed to the business, that's when you can have success and keep them. Unless they're doing something wrong and you know that, they just want the right person.
Craziest deal you ever closed?
No, you don't want to know.
Tell me.
Craziest deal I ever closed was with the government, the U.S. government.
Back when you were in the Mafia?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
I would rival that with sitting down with John Gotti. But the government was probably my most successful negotiation was with the government. Because if I didn't negotiate properly, I wouldn't be standing here. I'd be doing life in prison.
So how did you negotiate with the government?
I went in there with an advantage because they wanted me really bad, and I had beaten them 5 times. So I knew I had the edge on them. They wanted to get a conviction on me. And so if I was willing to give them that, then they had to give me something in return. Basically, I had a huge fine, huge restitution. I had a helicopter, a jet plane. I gave them all of that. Gave them a bunch of money at the time. But I got a very low prison sentence as a result compared to what I could have got.
You went to prison?
I did.
For how long?
8 years.
What's the most interesting thing that you learned about people while you were in prison?
I learned this in prison in a big way. Anybody that's in prison that never got respect on the street wanted all the respect in prison. So I learned 3 things, 3 words that will help you get through your prison time pretty good. Please, thank you, excuse me. You want to cut somebody on the line? Please, you don't mind if I get ahead, You don't disrespect them by just jumping in because that's disrespect. They take it as a big thing. Somebody hands you something, you say thank you. You want something from somebody, you say please. Those 3 words go a long way.
Do you believe in God?
I do, very much. I'm accountable to God in my life, and I always say 2 things too. You want success in life? Get these 2 things right. Number 1, in this life, we are who we hang out with. You have to surround yourself with the right people, no question about it. And number 2, who you are accountable to in life is going to direct the path that you go on. So now, when I was on the street, I was accountable to my oath. I took an oath. I was accountable to my boss. I was a criminal. Now I'm accountable to my God first, to my family, my wife, my children. Don't want to get in trouble, so I do the right thing. Accountability is everything.
For somebody who's questioning their belief in God, trying to find that relationship, what advice would you tell to them? How did you find your relationship and belief in God?
I was thrown in solitary confinement. I actually spent 3 years, 29 months and 7 days in solitary. And it was during that time that I believed that there was an afterlife, there was an eternity, and I wanted to study every religion because I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life in prison, and that would have been it. So I studied every faith, and I came out of there believing in Christianity with all my heart. And, it's all about, for me, a relationship with God. It's not about rules, regulations, how do you turn your life around. It's about having a relationship and being accountable to God. When that happens with you, you're transformed from the inside out. I tell you this, you can take the boy out of Brooklyn, you can't always take Brooklyn out of the boy. I still have the same thoughts I had when I was on the street. Sometimes things happen, I want to react a certain way. But now, accountability to God. I don't want to get myself in trouble, don't want to put my family in that situation, so I behave differently, I react differently. Even though the thought process can be the same, I react differently.
Could you tell me about a time where you got done wrong in business?
Well, that happened more than once because remember, you're dealing with people on the street. So you put your little trust in somebody and you never trust anybody 100% no matter who it is. But I trusted in people, I'll give you an example. This is a silly example, but I'll give you an example. There was a guy that was really in bad shape. I gave him a job, right? I gave him $3,500 a week back then. This is in the late 70s, early 80s, to go to gas stations and collect my money. Somebody handed him a paper bag, they brought it to me. That was it. After about 6 months, he came to me and asked for a raise. And I said to him, him, do you think you're worth $3,500 a week? I'm doing you a favor. Well, your problem is you're counting the money in the bag and looking at how much money I'm making and think that you deserve that. I said, so you're fired. And he, I wasn't going to fire him. I was trying to teach him a lesson. I said, no, you're fired. Don't talk to me ever again. You're gone. And he came back because he really needed the money. But it taught him a lesson. Don't count my money. Just do your job. That's it.
Your last message to the younger generation. Somebody, they don't come from money. They don't come from a rich family. They want to make it like you did. What's your last message to the younger generation watching this right now? Give them one more golden nugget.
Let me tell you something. Determination is everything. Don't ever feel sorry for yourself. Don't ever think somebody's going to give you a handout or help you. You got to work. When I started, my dad went away when I was a young kid. I got in serious trouble. I was on trial when I was 19 years old. I had no money. I had no money even to pay a lawyer. But I was determined to make it. So you got to do it on your own. Don't expect anybody to help you. You got to be determined and don't let anybody dissuade you. If you feel you have the ability to do something, then it's your determination that's going to make it happen, nothing else.
I love it. You got amazing advice, my friend.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for your time.
You got it.